We all know what camping is, right? I've been camping plenty of times. So in the summer of 2019, I went for my second year to summer camp. I went to one of the special camp tracks called Adventure Camp. So at this track of summer camp, you spend 2 nights in the woods, out in tents. The first night is at the very back of the camp campus, in an unused archery field, while the second night you carry a hiking backpack through the woods for a night. And this summer, the first night was completely rained out. Well, I guess it's time to go back to the cabins. No! So, after spending an hour in the rain and eating tacos in the rain, they told us we had to go back to the cabins. I honestly wanted to stay in my tent because we already spent a decent amount of time setting stuff up, but I wasn't allowed. And of course, once we started hiking back, hey look, the sun! We could hike back to... No. And on top of that, the next morning I found the inside of my tent completely dry. Hey look, all my stuff inside my tent is dry. We should have stayed... Man, my tent is soaked! Oh, never mind. So the second night in the woods was really interesting. We had our hiking backpacks full of the essentials for the night and ready to go. We were dropped off at a trail entrance at the side of the road, in the middle of nowhere. We hiked about 3 miles to a camp location with a stream and a lean-to, for those who didn't bring a tent. And after we all set up our tents and hammocks and done the usual camping stuff, like climbing a steep cliff wall, we started eating dinner about 5 o'clock. And a hobbyist backpacker who's come for 2 years with the group to go camping started telling a story about how when she was camping, a bear went completely crazy and tore down the outhouse and was willing to attack them for their food and just wouldn't go away. So I was thinking, okay, that's a scary situation, but that stuff just doesn't happen. So I'm good. Okay, so now would be a good time to explain where my tent was compared to everyone else. And as you would expect with a story like this, things didn't go the way I thought they would. So there was this little ledge above the stream that was flat and perfect for a tent. So I put my tent there. The hammock backpacker set up Hammock Village over here, and the lean-to was over there with the campfire and the kids sleeping on the table. And a tent here, and another tent here. And for comparison, I was about 20 feet from this tent. So a group of about 5 of us and our counselor stayed up around the campfire telling riddles and making jokes before we finally went to bed. I got in my tent and got ready to fall asleep in my sleeping bag when all of a sudden I heard a loud crash. Then I thought I heard the sound of footsteps on the leaves moving around. And then I thought I heard the sound of breathing that sounded right next to my tent. And on top of that, what really made my heart drop was what I thought was something brushed up against my tent. And boy, I thought there was a legit bear outside my tent. And all I had inside my tent was a little pocket knife. I was praying for dear life that I wouldn't be attacked by the monster outside my tent. I sat there using a normal voice and cried out, "Can somebody hear me? Somebody please help. Somebody help." Okay, so this next part is really embarrassing. So my friends and camp counselor who also went to bed did hear me. But they didn't think it was me calling. They thought it was the girl in the other tent. But once they figured out it wasn't her, they thought maybe it was the kids sleeping on the table. But then they realized it was just me, with no bear around my tent. And yes, I did ask. I got out of my tent and they helped me move it closer to the center of camp so I wouldn't get attacked first. But unfortunately, my tent was placed on the side of a small hill, so I kept sliding down all night. And on top of that, I was cold because my sleeping bag zipper broke, and the whole side was open. In the morning, I came to learn that the sounds I heard that night were the following. One of my friends rolling all night in his hammock, the volunteer's son snoring, the girl in the other tent moving around a lot, and what happens when you put all those sounds together? Plus the loud crashing of a branch falling. Needless to say, I definitely got picked on for the rest of the week. Also, the kid who slept on the table did see coyotes later that night, so I guess my fear wasn't completely ridiculous.